Hey guys, welcome back to Mixed Media Art LS. The LS is just me, Lisa. And on Mixed Media Art, I talk about all types of art. Painting, sculptures, just everything. So, welcome. Today, I had a request to talk about impasto painting. And we're going to start with, for those of you out there that don't know, impasto painting is a painting technique involving the application of paint in thick, heavy layers. And it's so thick. Think of applying frosting with a piping bag, okay? We're talking thick. And the reason you do it is so you can see the brush strokes, you can see the palette knife marks, and it creates a 3D texture on your canvas, on your piece of paper. And it not only adds texture, but it gives dimension. It's a tactile quality. It's dramatic, and it can catch light. Now, there are two ways you can do impasto painting. But before we get to that, I just want to show you a quick example of what impasto looks like. And some of the most famous painters, Van Gogh, Rembrandt, they did impasto painting. And here's just a up close of a very famous painting, and see how you can see the textures, see how it has dimension. That's what impasto painting does. Now, there are two ways you can do impasto painting. You can buy a big jar of impasto like this. This is the one I have. It's a good brand. And then you mix this with a heavy body paint. And the only one I have is this white. So I'm going to throw in just a tad of this green to color it so you can see everything. But you mix it with a heavy body acrylic or an oil paint. I'm an acrylic painter, so I'm going to mix it with this heavy body white acrylic, and we're going to see what it looks like. But before we do that, if you don't want to buy a big jar, there are brands, at least one brand that I know of, DecoArt, and they sell impasto paints. So these are heavy-bodied acrylic paints that already have the impasto in them. So these are going to be thick coming right out of this jar, and you're going to be able to see the texture. I got these over the holiday. I only got two colors, magenta and deep green. We're going to do the deep green so we can compare the impasto medium in the acrylic heavy body with a touch of green to just the impasto paints of DecoArt. These are reasonably priced even when they're not on sale, but they are like right now on sale for like $5.40 a jar, which that's the holdback I see with buying paints that already have the impasto in them without even trying them right off the bat. Is to get all the colors, you have to buy each little tub. So you're spending $5.40, $5 to get all the colors you want. Where if you buy just a big thing of impasto medium, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's just that. It's like frosting. Basically, don't eat it. But it's a medium. It's a gel acrylic medium. And then you mix it in with whatever heavy body acrylic or oil you have. The paint's going to color it for you. If I had the heavy body acrylic in a color, I would use that. I don't. So we're going to use white. But again, I'm going to color it with just a tad. This will thin it out. So I'm just going to use a tad in there because this is thin, just to give it some color. So let me get something to mix on. Mix that, get that out of the way. Let me get a couple of brushes. I will be right back. I'm gonna mix first. So I'm gonna get my palette knife and I'm gonna put the gel medium there. I'm going to come in with my heavy, thick white paint here. And we're going to mix this up. And then I'm going to put just a hint of color so we can see it. But see how it has peaks? That's the impasto. The best way I know to describe it is like frosting. Okay, now I'm going to mix this up real quick. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this out of the way. And again, this is using the big jar of impasto mixed with a heavy body white acrylic. And then I just added a thin green just so you could get a little color in there. Okay, now. Look at that. See? It's very thick. It's standing straight. It's not falling. So let's put this on our paper here. And you want to keep it thick. So whatever you're making, you want to keep it, you want to hold its shape, because that's the point of using the impasto, is to have the shape, to have the thickness. So there you can see how thick it is. You can see the lines. You can hear my loud neighbor. And you can see the paintbrush strokes. I'm going to bring it up so you can see them. Just give me a second. You can see the paintbrush strokes. All of these peaks will stay because it's impasto paint. Now again, this is just using the impasto gel acrylic medium right there and mixing it with a heavy body paint. The color is light because I didn't have a colored heavy body, just a white, and just mixed a little bit. Okay, now we're going to get the green impasto paint from DecoArt. We're just going to open it, and there you can see it's thick. See, it's very thick. So I'm going to get my palette knife back. And I always like to use the lid too. So we're going to, it's very thick. Get a little bit more. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. I will say it smells. This did not smell. The DecoArt impasto paint does smell. Get some peaks going here. Get a little bit more. And we're going to do a small one right here. Now, I will say, besides the smell, this one that I just added, the Impasto Gel Medium to the acrylic paint, I can move it around more. I have more control, but let's see. Okay, let's see about trying to put some peaks in it. Okay. So there's the Art Deco Impasto paint, and that is the color deep green. And then this is the gel medium added to heavy body paint. You can see the brush marks, you can see the peaks. There are some peaks on the green, as you can see there. So there you go. Now, final thoughts, pros and cons. Pros and cons. Let's write our pros and cons down. First, we're going to do the pros for this one. And this was the Impasto Medium. And the pros of it were it was easy to use, easy to mix. I can see the texture. And it's affordable because you get 500 milliliters for 15, I'm going to say 75, not exactly sure. The cons, just you have to mix your color. Mix. Well, that's not really a con because if I had, okay, so there's no cons. Because if I had a heavy body in green, I just would have mixed that and it would have been perfect. Okay, this is the DecoArt Impasto paint right here. Okay. Pros. You can buy the colors already. Already mixed. It is stiff. You can see the peaks. You can see the paintbrush marks in it. It's easy to use. You can see the texture. Okay. The cons, for me, smell. If you're sensitive to smell, this one might be something you don't want to check out. Another con is you have to buy each little container, which is 4 fluid ounces, 118 milliliters, cost $5.40. So if you want different colors, you have to spend $5.40 each time. And could you mix your own colors? Not really. I mean, I guess you could mix yellow and blue and get green. I don't know how well that would work. So mixing, we'll put a question mark. I don't have the right colors to mix. I would just get, ugh. let's see, how many fluid ounces is 500 milliliters. It doesn't say, guys, how many fluid ounces, so it's just 500 milliliters. So the cons really are about the cost, because to get a different color or the colors you want, you have to buy individual jars. And the smell, if you're sensitive to smells. Now, as far as the texture goes, hey guys, future me, as I'm editing the Impasto paint video, the peaks and paintbrush strokes were visible in the DecoArt, but they were more visible in the Impasto gel medium added to the heavy body acrylic paint. And overall, if I had to choose one, I know I say this, but I would choose the Impasto gel medium added to paint. But if you want to just get a feel and buy maybe a couple, the DecoArt are not bad. Okay, back to your video. Let's get out the magenta while we're at it. And again, this is how they come. So there's the magenta. I will say the color is beautiful. When you mix it yourself, you mix it thicker. You can mix it as thick as you want, where when you buy it in these, you get what they've mixed, and it just feels a little thinner. But I like both, and I would probably definitely buy some more colors in the DecoArt. And I will say the magenta did not smell as bad as the green. But see, it gets thin. So I'm wondering, really, they're not as thick as you could make your own. But they're not bad. And if you wanted to have one that was already mixed, you weren't sure about mixing or whatever, then these are great. This isn't sponsored. I bought these, like I said, before the holidays just to try them. Would I buy more of these? Honestly, I think I'd rather invest in a few heavy body paints that I could mix together, mix the color, and then add the impasto to. But that's me. That's the art journey I am on. I wanted to do this because somebody asked, and I happen to have this brand of impasto paint. You can see the great texture in the one that I made myself. So either one is great. It just depends on maybe your budget. And do you like to mix stuff, or do you like to just open something and have it mixed? But the impasto gives you the frosting effect, as I like to say. It makes it thick. It makes it so you can see the paintbrush marks, the palette knife marks, all of that. And again, here's an example of a famous artist, Starry Night, and you can see the layering, you can see the marks, you can see the valleys and the ridges, and that gives you the texture, the tactile look. It gives you the light and the dark. It adds to your painting. And like I said, I will invest in just some heavy body acrylic paints. I want some anyway, acrylic paints. And we'll probably just use the 500 ml and not purchase any of these. But I will use up the two I have at some point. So guys, don't forget, hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up, and let me know down below in the comments, are you going to try the impasto paint either in this form or mixing your own with oil or heavy body acrylics? Let me know down in the comments. Take care, guys. Thanks for being here. See you next time. Bye.